All set? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for Tuesday, February 3rd, 2015. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this point, I would like to request everyone to have a brief moment of silence so we can reflect on our duties as selectmen to the town and also for our soldiers, both overseas and in the United States, for their safety. Thank you. In accordance with Mass General laws, I have to announce that this meeting is being taped by East Meadow Cable Access in addition to being recorded for the Board of Selectmen's office, and I have to ask if anyone else in the room is recording this meeting. Seeing none, we can proceed. The first item on tonight's agenda is a public forum, and we have Mr. John Turner signed up for it. So, Mr. Turner, would you like to come forward? How are you, sir?
Good.
Enjoying the snow?
We'll just pretend we're going about it.
All right, what can we help you with tonight?
Okay, it's basically the same thing. This is my third anniversary. It's the beginning of the third year. And the first time I came, he told me all I had to do was put a complaint on a piece of paper and identify the complaint and sign it, and it would be taken care of. And the reason I'm here is because complaints haven't been taken care of at all. And there's been absolutely no follow-through. And I'm to the point now where, yes, I'll take some money out and go to the appeals board. That's not a problem, but there's nothing to appeal because nothing that I've done has got to that point in a long, long time. Okay. I mean, I've come in with pictures of complaints, and I guess that doesn't mean anything. When the person who's inspecting things says in his reply, you will be fined $100 for the first day, $200 for the second 2 days, and after that $300 a day, and that hasn't been done at all. And when he sends a letter back to somebody, he puts this in the letter, and then most of the next line is, please let me know when you address this situation. And basically, they have 30 days to address it. And it's been months and months and months and months and months, and it hasn't been addressed. And the law says that's what you're supposed to do. There have been only 6 fines, and none of them have gone to be collected. They just sit in a dead letterbox. And that's not what's supposed to happen. And 4 meetings ago when I was here, you said that there would be some action and you would be back to me, and that hasn't happened either.
Okay. As far as the action being taken, I spoke to Mr. Hellier, if you would like to go to his office on Thursday afternoon, he will have answers for, I believe, all but a couple of your complaints, the responses. And I know I spoke to him today, and I know one of the problems we have, I won't get into who it was, but you'll find out when you go there, but there was a person in town that the fines had reached $4,100. They took the property owner to court, and the judge made a judgment of $100. So he is doing the job. We're finding that obviously it's not necessarily, once it gets out of our hands, it gets into the court, then.
Now, does it go before a judge or just a clerk?
I believe it goes before.
Because
I thought in this case, yeah, I went before a magistrate.
I went to his office twice and left messages because he said he went to court, and I asked for the information so I could go and check it, and he never replied to me.
Okay.
And that is very disheartening and unprofessional on his part. Because when someone goes, and I went during our office hours when he's supposed to be there and left a message with his secretary several times.
Okay.
And well over a month ago, and he did not have the professional courtesy to answer that.
Okay. But as I said, I have spoken to him, and he will address all your concerns on Thursday, all your complaints. So if you'd like to do that, hopefully that will put this to bed.
What time?
Anytime after lunch, anytime after noon, or 1. I don't know what time they come. Yeah, I would assume they come back around 1.
Okay, I can go there this
Okay.
Thursday.
All right. And let me know if you have any issues.
Okay, but
All right.
you know, you're supposed to reply.
Mm-hmm.
And when you give an issue, and there's obviously a problem, and you
Mhm.
can take a picture of the problem, and nothing is done,
Mm-hmm.
then there's something wrong with our law. If we're
No.
not going to enforce a law, we shouldn't have a law.
I know another thing he said, I didn't mean to interrupt you if you weren't done, but I know he said there were a couple properties that he's in discussion, actually he's meeting with Attorney Donahue Thursday because for some reason or other, and I didn't get into specifics with him because he hasn't really discussed it with Attorney Donahue, but I guess for some reason or other, there's something that can't be enforced. I don't know what it is. Maybe he can tell you Thursday because he's not going to know the exact whether it can or cannot be enforced until he actually sits down with Attorney Donahue on Thursday. But I just want to let you know that. So,
Well, how do you explain the answer?
what answer?
Please let me know when you have corrected the situation.
Mm-hmm.
They've got 30 days to correct the situation.
Okay.
And I've only got 30 days to, if I'm going to,
Mhm.
question it. I mean, I don't have more than 30 days. Why
Right.
do they have 6 months or 2
Right.
years? Because there were things out there that he addressed almost 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing's been done.
Well, once again, I think if you talk to him, you'll find out that things have been done. Whether the problem's been solved, that is a different subject, because once again, we've been over this, and,
But
you know,
I'm
if
sorry.
you can't, like I said, you could come to me and say, move your truck, and if I don't move my truck, then you can't forcibly come on my property and take it. So just looking at the property doesn't necessarily mean that actions haven't been taken. So once again, if you discuss this with him, you know, hopefully, I'm sure he'll be able to explain to you or have information there which will help you understand each complaint and what's been done towards it.
Well, the thing that I don't understand is we have basically the same law that
Mhm.
Long Meadow does. You know, it's not word for word,
Mhm.
but it's the same law. And they don't have any problem.
Mhm.
Why do we have a problem and they don't have a problem?
Without going out on a limb, I think we may have more, when you say problem, I think we may have more self-employed individuals who have their own vehicles and equipment as part of their day-to-day work.
Well,
I don't think they have a small business, you know, a law specifically for small business, you know, home-based business law like we have either, because they
Well,
don't need it.
well, we have a home-based business.
I know,
law.
that's what I'm saying, is because we have more
And
home-based businesses.
many of them are not in compliance with the law that they signed, that we passed specifically for them,
Mhm.
and they're not within the law.
Well, once again, if you go talk to him on Thursday, he'll have information for you, and you know, hopefully that will satisfy you, and if not, then we can pursue it further, but I'm hoping that will satisfy you. All right? Yes.
Just to let you know, I did speak with Mr. Hilliard with regards to how does he find out? How does he find out when something hasn't been appealed?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why he wasn't automatically issuing the ticket, because he didn't want to issue the ticket prematurely if they had appealed it. We're in conversation with, we're waiting, it's a slow process
Mhm.
for Springfield to see if we can have access to their database, or if they can send him a notification immediately when somebody does appeal it. And if he doesn't get that notification, then he'll go ahead with the tickets.
Okay.
With regards to the tickets, Mr. Hellier has also been notified that the tickets should not come down to the Board of Selectmen only, but it should also go to the clerk, because the clerk hadn't been receiving them.
Okay.
And if the clerk doesn't receive them, then he can't go ahead and collect on them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So just to let you know some of the progress
All right.
that's been happening as well.
Okay. Thank you.
And I don't have any problem with somebody who's in business,
Mhm.
parking their truck in their garage.
But I realize they have restrictions. They have to park it, like you said, in the garage behind a fence somewhere it's not
Yeah.
seen. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah, they've got options.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if someone works 2 miles, less than 2 miles away, but continues to, and can park it at work,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why should he just take a truck home and not take it back? I mean, does a teacher get a free ride in the school bus to school and back?
No.
It's the same thing.
Well,
It's the same thing,
the
Mr.
teacher
Federici.
doesn't need the school bus to perform their daily duties. The gentleman might need the bus.
Yeah, but he can drive his car to work just like I
Well,
had to.
that depends on his type of work. If he's an emergency type person, then he can't.
No, that's a misnomer, okay?
Well, I'd love to argue the
Okay.
point with you, but as we've
I
stated
guess if I get a
before,
letter from the company that says people just drive it home because it's convenient for them,
Well, you could do
and they
that.
have to provide less parking space for them.
Mhm.
So
You could do
it's convenient for business.
Right.
If someone works here on Shaker Road and lives out on Porter Road,
Mhm.
they're saving a parking space.
True. But in any event,
And that's not what the law says.
right. But if you,
All the law says is you have to park it in a garage.
right,
You're a school bus driver, you know? And then someone says, well, it's just a small school bus. If it's a small school bus, put it in your garage. Next thing you know, it's gonna be a 40-foot school bus. Someone working for Peter Pan gonna bring their bus home?
well, I doubt that, but,
You know? You've left the window open for the same thing.
mhm.
And someone next door gonna have a big truck there, and in the morning at 7 o'clock, they start up their diesel, and you're paying taxes to live in a
Mhm.
residential neighborhood, and your taxes are going up 10% a year, something's wrong.
Okay, well, like I said, if you'd like to talk to Mr. Heller on Thursday, he should have answers to you for your complaints, and we'll go from there. All right?
And I'll see him at 1 o'clock.
Okay,
And also, Mr. Turner has provided me with a list of 8 to take 5
Okay.
to work on it.
all right, very good.
And I'll tape the meeting,
Okay,
okay?
all right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
All right, our next appointment is not here yet. That's
Let me
comforting.
go out there and see.
Nick will go out. In the meantime, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the open session meetings of September 16th, 2014.
So moved with the approvals that have been passed in already.
Okay, that's right, you made changes to this, right, okay. With the,
Correction.
with the changes that have been made to the originals. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make a motion to approve the executive session minutes of September 16th, 2014. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, why don't we go, we'll skip the old business for a second, because we're trying to knock off a few things while we're waiting. Under new business, we have a request from the St. Michael's Knights of Columbus 9960 regarding a one-day liquor license, beer and wine, Friday, February 15th, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at St. Michael's Community Center, 53 Summers Road. Pasta supper event to benefit the East Long Meadow Scholarship Fund. Insurance is on file. I'd like to make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item is, we have a donation from the Anderson family on Harwich Road. They're donating 2 pet oxygen masks for the police and fire departments. I guess they had a fire at their house, and
Yeah, they did.
the police and fire rescued their dogs. Unfortunately, one of their pets passed away
Yes.
shortly afterwards.
Oh,
But
that was the dog?
yeah, so because of that, they felt that the fire department and police department would be well-served with pet oxygen masks in case an incident like that happens again. They might be able to save all the pets, and all pets involved.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Any further discussion?
I
Hearing-
just think we should also check with fire and make sure that they know how to use it
Mhm.
and that it doesn't cost them additional costs. So
All
with
right.
that amendment, I'd be more than happy.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty. Are you Lois?
I am.
Come on up, Lois.
Do you want to finish?
Thank you.
Oh,
No, we'll go back to.
okay.
Hey, Lois, I'm Billy Gorman.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Paul Federici. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Lois, I am not going to shake your hand because I have an awful
Okay, well, it's very nice to
Thank
meet
you. Nice to
you.
meet
And as a
too.
potential health agent, you should realize
Yes,
that.
I certainly do. Thank you.
Oh,
Ooh.
your your telephone's telling you where to go.
I said it already to go home.
Uh,
What are the questions?
No, I don't think we have any formal questions.
Okay.
Okay. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, thank you.
How was your traveling through this wonderful day after the storm?
In some places, a little bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of snow removal equipment out there, and
Mhm.
but all in all, not bad.
Okay. Since this is the health agent, I think I'm going to defer to the chairman of the Board of Health if you want to start.
Yeah, Lois, you said you retired from the town of Grafton
I did,
and that you didn't want to?
correct. So I had been the health agent with the town for 10 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you are all aware, about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a big push on a statewide level to regionalize.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So in central Massachusetts, we actually ended up with 2, I'll call them alliances, that were able to receive that grant
Mhm.
and enter into a regionalization program. The way it worked with Worcester Regional was that it was an all or nothing buy-in. And the town administrator, who had been there for maybe half of my tenure, thought it was a great way to save the town some money
Mhm.
and had been leaning in that direction for a while.
Mhm.
And he informed me in May of 2013 that it was his intention to basically eliminate the health agent position. And although he didn't tell me at the time, he also eliminated the public health nursing position and joined the Health Alliance for, of course, a fee. And then they would provide inspectional services for the town. So that's basically what happened. I was not offered an opportunity to work for the Alliance, but I don't think that would have been a good fit anyway. And originally what I was going to do was to just simply resign my position and move on. But because I was vested in my retirement and I had an opportunity to take my health insurance with me, I decided to opt for the retirement route. But I wasn't necessarily financially or psychologically ready to retire. And so after a year of working on my house and doing some other things, I felt that I really wanted to get back into public health after being away from it, but I don't want to give up my retirement. So for that reason, because of Mass General Law, I am restricted to 18 hours a week.
Okay.
You went to work for a Northborough health agent?
I actually covered for the Northborough health agent over the summer while she was on maternity leave. And I covered the camp inspections, pool inspections, housing complaints, and I actually did step in. She had another agent who was covering food inspections, but they had a commercial renovation that was going to be underway, and so they asked me to step in and handle that as well for them over the summer.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, you were in Grafton for 10 years?
Yes.
And you're fully certified or licensed as far as a health
I
inspector?
actually brought copies of all of my licenses and
Okay.
certifications that include both health department and emergency preparedness,
Oh, okay.
which has been a big part of what I've been handling since 2002. I just renewed my registered sanitarian and my certified health officer, and I also hold a registered environmental health specialist position nationally,
Okay.
as well as Title V, and the list goes on and on.
Okay, and you said you're limited to 18 hours?
I can only work 18 hours a week under the retirement system.
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
Through the chair. Okay, now, I see where you live at. How, that might be a little challenging. Do you have a plan, or do you see any problems in the future, especially with the storms that we've been having? How would you work that out?
I have a plan, and of course, that would be subject to approval by all of you. But what I would like to do would be to plan on working 2 days a week.
Okay,
And my plan would be to drive down on day one,
okay,
put in a full day, basically 9 hours a day, stay over somewhere nearby for the evening, and then work the second 9 hours the next day, and then head home. That would be my ultimate plan.
okay.
Now, of course, I understand that things come up. There are emergencies that happen. not only would I always, of course, be available by phone, text, and email, but if the situation arose and you really needed me here, I would be here. It would
Okay.
just take me a little while to get here,
Mhm.
but I would definitely be here. And I will be honest with you, in the 10 years that I worked in Grafton, I think I only had to go out perhaps on 2 calls, the 10 years I was there. So it doesn't happen often as a rule. I also will say I had a wonderful board. And because they knew, I lived about 45, 50 minutes away from Grafton.
Oh, okay.
And they were more than happy if they thought it was something that they could handle to step in on my behalf. And if they had questions, they would call me.
Mhm.
So I didn't necessarily always have to be the one responding, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
What are your expectations for this job here? Far as pay?
Okay, as far as pay, well, I will tell you that when I left the town of Grafton, I was earning close to $33 an hour. I was a salaried employee. And so I'd like to get as close to that as I possibly can.
And did you get travel done down there?
I did get travel pay within the community
Within the community?
for inspections that
Mhm.
I did.
Okay.
And you have your own insurance and stuff, you said, right now,
Oh,
from your retirement?
oh, yes, I'm covering my health insurance through my retirement, correct.
What days a week could you work for 2 days, 2 days in a row?
Right now, I'm thinking Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Wednesdays and Thursdays?
And again, I understand it's a little bit unusual to put forward a plan like that. So, of course, I'm definitely open. The one thing I would like to just mention, though, it would not be possible for me to stay over on Tuesday evenings.
Okay.
I have a commitment that has been ongoing for probably as long as I've lived in Westminster.
Okay.
So I'd have to do a Monday and a Tuesday if you
Mhm.
wanted at the beginning of the week.
Okay. And it sounds like, through the chair, if, I know obviously if we decide on Wednesday and Thursday, then you'll be organizing probably with Bill, the places to go for inspections, because you're gonna want to try to, for lack of a more intelligent word, cram as much as you can into 18 hours. But I'm thinking if there was an emergency at some point, we could always adjust and say there was an emergency on a Monday, that you had to come down that week, maybe we could switch it to Monday, Tuesday. And then,
Correct.
then you wouldn't have to come Monday and then drive back another day, So we'll be able to work with you, I think, in that regard, as far as, sort of tailoring your schedule to ours, in the case of an emergency.
Right,
so.
right. Well, the other thing I'd like to mention too, and this certainly works both ways, there might be times when Wednesday and Thursday are not going to work
Mhm.
for me. For example, the Mass Health Officers Association every October has their 3-day
Mhm.
training, and that's Wednesday, Thursday,
Oh, okay.
Friday. So obviously, I would give you as much notice as I could. In fact, I could probably tell you today that I would probably want to work Monday and Tuesday that week. So, but that would be, rare. It wouldn't be an every week thing where I'd be changing my hours.
Mhm. Okay.
Well, just so we're up front with you, Lois, we're looking to get a full-time health agent at our next meeting in May, the town meeting.
Okay, so this would be a temporary
It would be,
position.
yes, until then, which you could apply if you wanted to for that job also.
Mhm.
But, because we got such a backload of work.
Sure.
Alls we can do, because we've only had people in the past, I've been through 5 health agents in 8 months. And
Wow.
they can only work 2 days, but alls we're doing is putting out fires. We're not really
Sure.
going and inspecting things that should be inspected.
Mhm.
And, these people get a better job somewhere else and they leave. So would you be able to at least work till May, 2 days a week?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you as well. I can certainly right now say yes, that I would.
Yeah.
But I also want you to be aware that there are other part-time positions that I've applied for. There's no guarantee I'll be invited in for an interview, and there's no guarantee that I'll be offered a position. But in the event that that were to happen, I would certainly try to give you as much notice as possible, work with the two communities so that I don't leave you hanging, and so that I can satisfy them as well. As you are well aware, an hour and a half is a long commute. There are a couple of other part-time positions that are closer to home. But at this particular point in time, I can't tell you how those are going to turn out, of course.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else got any questions?
No.
Ian?
Well, obviously, you answered, I believe, one of our ads we had put in somewhere, right, I believe?
Yes, through the actually, it was on the Mass Health Officer's website, but I also received emails from the Western District
Oh, okay.
as well, and that's where I first heard about the position.
Because did we have the pay rate on that, in the ad? Do you know?
No, we don't, Nick?
I don't
Yeah.
recall.
Okay,
It should have been in there, yeah.
okay. Because I know, obviously, this isn't, I'm speaking through the chair, this is an eternal struggle with our town, is, we all know we need a full-time health agent, we all know what the average, or what the pay should be. Right now, we're at
22.
22.
Coming from 18,
Yeah, and I'm thinking
no, 15.
we can, I'd be willing to go to our appropriations and say, even if we can get it up to, if you're looking at 18 hours a week, I mean, in the short term, even if, if you go up $10 an hour, say, or $8 an hour, it's not a tremendous amount per week to get a qualified person who's going to actually come in here and help us out. So I wouldn't mind whether they agree to it, and I don't know what's in the budget as far as, you're looking at maybe 150 to 180 bucks a week. Over the course of a year, that's like $9,000, something like that. But if you can weigh that against what's the cost of a lawsuit if someone gets sick from from something not being inspected. So and I'm sure you would too, be willing to talk to appropriations about
Yeah.
getting a higher rate. But I know if it was posted, I'm sort of thinking, that's unfortunately where we'd have to start, and I don't know what you think about that. I guess is the way, the roundabout way of getting there,
It's pretty low. If that's what was posted, it's pretty low.
Could you say that again, Willis? That's what I've been telling them.
Yeah,
for
it's
quite a while.
for myself, I've got 20 years experience
Yep.
in public health. I have not stopped at my licensure.
Right.
I've made it a point to be as informed as I possibly can on every issue that involves public health. In the positions that I've held, even starting in Westminster when I basically came in, not new to public health, I came in from the environmental field. As soon as I found out that we needed to make an improvement, I was immediately meeting with the board to figure out how we could implement that. And that would be the same, level of dedication that I would bring to you as well, even if I were only here for a limited time. And that's not something that someone new to the field would probably be able to do.
Right.
And at the amount of money that I believe you might be advertising, you're basically getting someone out of school.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I see, as I drive around, you have a fairly robust commercial district, which means that you're going to have many different needs within particularly your food establishments. It takes a little bit of expertise to work with different personalities, and I'll tell you, in the entire time that I've worked as a health agent, I've never closed a facility down. And I've also never been to housing court.
Well, not to interrupt you, but I gotta tell you, I closed 2 down.
Did you?
And I've closed some too.
Yeah,
So,
I've tried very hard. I mean, I've given pretty
It's not
strict
pleasant
limits.
to do, but.
No, and maybe I've been fortunate in
Well-
that I've been able to get the establishments to comply,
Well-
short of closing them down, but
I think some of the issue is that we've had such a high turnover with the health agent, and the one previous was, took ill and wasn't able to keep up on the inspections.
Mhm.
So we are going through some transitions, but I'm sure with the right person, we'll be able to get that taken care of.
And we did too when I went to Grafton initially. In fact, I had a food establishment tell me that it was my fault that they were out of compliance because they hadn't been inspected enough.
Well, I gotta agree with, that's the problem we got, we're not inspecting them enough. So when there's a time lapse, they go back to their old habits.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and,
By the same token, I had a food establishment that, we, you know, when we first met, we kind of locked horns. He'd been in the business forever, and really objected to me coming in and trying to tell him how to run his food establishment. And by the time I left 10 years later, we actually hugged my last day. And he knew exactly what was expected. He was proactive in calling me when he had questions or wanted to implement something. And that's the kind of, you know, relationship you want to establish with your, not only your food establishments, but throughout the community.
your certifications and stuff, did the town that you work for, did they pay for them? or you paid
No,
for
I paid for it.
them? You know, all right.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Nope, nope.
Angela? Okay, well, let's, I'll give you a call. What's today, Wednesday or Monday?
Tuesday.
Yeah,
Right in the middle.
yeah, Tuesday. About the end of the week, Paul?
Yeah, and what we'll try to do is,
We'll see appropriation in between there?
yeah, we'll get an idea from appropriations, what we can do with the salary, and then we'll let you know that. We'll
All
also-
right.
yeah, Okay?
That'd be great.
All right.
What's a good time to call you, Lois?
Really, anytime. You have my cell phone number,
Yes, I
right?
do, yeah.
So I'm on the road a lot, so
All right.
anytime that's convenient for you. And if I don't pick up the phone, if you just leave a message, I'll call you right back.
All right,
All
beautiful.
right, great.
Yeah, thank
Oh, it's a
Meeting.
pleasure to meet
Thank you.
all of you.
Oops.
Thank you so much. Lorraine?
Lorraine,
Yes,
yeah.
nice to meet you, Lorraine. And you're Angela.
Yes.
She's
I'm
the
not gonna-
sick one.
right,
So
that's right.
sorry. They
It's so
chicken
nice
instead.
to meet you, too.
Have a good trip back.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Probably
Yes.
stop for dinner somewhere.
There you go.
We got plenty
Well,
of
for-
restaurant facilities.
Yes, you do. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lois.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's nice. I was gonna say, I didn't wanna, I'm always accused of having these bad puns, but when Billy said he was putting out fires, I didn't, he was speaking literally from the other day.
Oh.
All right. Next item. We will go to old business now, budgets. Local option meals tax.
Oh, wait a minute, I thought you were gonna finish.
No, we'll get down,
Oh, so you're jumping
yeah,
back up to
yeah,
the
we'll get,
top.
I just was trying to take some fairly easy stuff for
Okay,
you.
sure.
A local option meals tax, I don't know, I'll open it up. Does the board have any opinion, pro or con, on this? I believe, from what I gathered, I know it's 0.75%, 0.75%, and it works out to like, maybe, I think it was like, was it $2 a meal on average, Nick? Something like that, if that?
$2 more a meal?
I think so, yeah, between $1 and $2. And the way this works is, the way it works, which isn't the best system in the world, but the money's collected by the money goes in with the sales tax to the state, and the state actually turns around and doles it back out to the town, so.
How long does it take to get back to the town, Paul?
Every
They-
quarter they give it that.
What's that?
Every quarter.
Every quarter, yeah, they'll give it back quarterly. I know that we discussed that at the MMA, I believe. Yeah, so every three months we'll get the payments, so. I guess I'll open it up. Is there any discussion on that?
I'm for upping it because when I go out to eat, I don't even look at it, I just pay whatever I pay, you know.
Yeah, I tend to agree to that, with that.
I mean, I
so,
don't think it's not gonna hurt
I don't think it's gonna hurt business.
No, not at all.
The restaurant business. All right. In that case, just to put this to rest, so to speak, I'd like to make a motion.
We don't get vote on that?
Yeah, we,
Mr. Chairman, I believe council had previously advised the board that it would be through a warrant article.
okay,
I believe that's the case. so.
okay. Then, and we don't have to vote on that, right, or do we? Like
If the board wanted to take a vote that it would support putting the warrant article
Okay.
on, then that way,
All right,
the appropriations committee could know that at least that it's gonna be out there and put
Okay.
before the voters.
all right. Then I'd like to make a motion for the Board of Selectmen to support putting a local options meals tax as a warrant item in the May town meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next item is elected officials' healthcare coverage. Once again, I have to recuse myself from this, so.
Well, we're waiting for legal counsel's opinion, so
Oh, okay.
if that's okay.
Legal, what do we have to wait for legal for?
I'm, go ahead and leave off.
Okay. I'll go hide in the other room.
I'm going too far. With regards to one of the options that you had spoken about, I did check with counsel to see if that was something that we could do. He needs to look that up. I don't think we'll have an answer this evening, but probably by the next meeting, he'll be able to give us more information. Otherwise, I think we'll be at a stalemate if we can't get that percentage that you were talking about.
Yeah, but, Angela, I don't think the public knows what we actually pay for these. I mean, we pay $71,626.80 for the current elected officials,
Right.
and the retirees, the people that get it for life, there's probably 6 of them.
And
We
there's
pay
not-
$26,697.60
Right.
for a grand total of $98,324.40.
Understanding that there's nothing that could be done with regards to the retirees. With regards to changing the percentage, you had mentioned that if it were to go to 100% and have them pay for it, that has to go through council. And so I'd rather rather than saying no and have us be at a 1-1 vote, I'd rather see what council has to say about it.
Well,
At least that's a possibility
I
of
don't
us.
think council has anything to say about it, to tell you the truth. I think we either take a vote, or I bring it to the town meeting and let the public vote on it, the taxpayers.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
Selectman Thorpe, could I add a little bit
Sure.
here? I just want to let you know that I don't have any written opinion from Labor Council, but I had spoken with
I just
Labor.
spoke on this afternoon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and the general thought from Labor Council in that conversation was that changes to percentages, anywhere from 0 to whatever way you might look at it, likely would have to come before town meeting anyway as a special act of the legislature. And I just did a cursory look for bills or for other towns, and I did find, for example, the town of Harwich when they put it on their warrant. There's also another question here that needs to be identified. I've been trying to research it with the clerk, is the status of elected officials, which is another thing that Labor Council's coming up with hopefully a written opinion for the board. Does the town consider an elected official someone who is first compensated and who then also works more than 20 hours or more? And if that's the case, then they would be eligible, and if it's not the case, they wouldn't. Now, I noticed in this language in the warrant article for that other town, they put in provisions in the article that set a parameter for that town to be considered a part-time employee. You'd have to earn more than $10,000 or more to be considered that, to be eligible. And then they had other provisions of saying, I believe, as Selectman Gorman had talked about and that you debated a little bit, was a provision to allow participation, but for the elected official to pay, the 100% at that time. So, absolutely, there's more work to be done to get it in writing for the board to consider, but it seems that any changes like that would have to go before town meeting. At least that's what I'm seeing.
But not to interrupt you, Nick, but then in the town of Long Meadow, they just voted on it. They didn't go to a town meeting.
And I think that's what town council has been trying to get and report back to the board. I don't have anything definitive on that, how their process went.
Then there are other towns that did away with it. Instead of paying, putting people on the insurance, they would just give the selectmen a flat fee of $5,000 a year and let them buy their own, which was a lot cheaper for the town,
And that may be as well. I'm not familiar with those towns that might have done that, but I think that $5,000 threshold might have some sort of ramifications with respect to retirement, because that now there's been a reform within the last couple of years where any elected official working at a compensation of less than $5,000 is no longer eligible for retirement. So if it's at $5,000, then they might also become eligible for retirement.
But you know what's ludicrous about this whole thing, Nick? These people try to get in 10 years to get the insurance from the town, where it takes a person working full-time, a regular job like myself, you have to work 38 years and we've been on strike for 3 months to get the insurance, and these people are only working 10 years, and they're getting paid for their insurance for the rest of their life. The town pays. I think it's ludicrous.
And I appreciate that value judgment. It's certainly part of the discussion that the board members and the town voters would need to have. I'm simply here to present what I believe is the process that the board would need to follow.
All right, so that'll be on a warrant for the town?
Well, that's a discussion, again, for the board as to whether or not it would go on as a Board of Selectmen sponsored warrant article or articles.
As it stands now, the elected officials are no longer eligible for retirement, correct? Because we're under $5,000.
Correct.
So what you're speaking of did happen in the past, but it's not happening anymore for anybody to qualify for retirement benefits.
To what, Angela?
It's not what happened in the past. Can no longer happen because we're under $5,000. People qualified in the past because that regulation wasn't there. So that thing that you're talking about with people retiring and having them pay their health insurance forever, elected officials, that doesn't happen as long as we're under $5,000, and right now everybody is. So that's not a fear anymore of somebody retiring.
But I just don't know any,
Excuse me.
I just don't know any person that works part-time that gets their health insurance paid for. I don't know anybody. But yet the town of East Long Meadow keeps paying people that are part-time people. But if we hire someone for 19 hours,
And
they get
paid-
no benefits
And they get paid for 19 hours,
Huh?
too. They get paid for 19 hours.
for 19 hours, yeah.
And
We get paid for 12.
No, it's 12, but,
We get paid for 12 hours
okay.
as a selectman.
And how many hours would you say?
It don't matter how many we put
No,
in.
I'm just saying.
It's what we're getting paid for.
Then maybe we should go for a regrade then. I say that with my tongue in cheek, sorry. I would just really prefer to also
But
get, I think if we're gonna make a decision
The
of
thing that
this.
bothers me about the whole thing is the people that do have this insurance, some of them aren't even paying their share. They're 20% or 30% what they're supposed to
30%.
pay.
Well, I think that's something I think that's another issue, Selectman Gorman. I think, that's a bookkeeping thing, and I think that needs to be looked into, if that's the case.
Well, my opinion is,
Yeah.
I think we should do away with the whole thing because I don't think it's right. The town should have to pay for someone's health insurance that's only a part-time person. No other business does it, but yet the town of East Long Meadow does it, and I don't know why. And for us to pay that kind of money, $71,000,
Mhm.
that's a lot of money. And the people that retired, they're paying $26,000
Mhm.
for life. And all these people have good businesses. They should be getting
Well,
insurance
that-
through their own business.
Well, it was somewhere our forefathers, our Board of Selectmen, or if it went to town meeting, saw fit to offer this benefit. We shouldn't get upset with the people for taking advantage of something that was offered to them.
No, I know,
Okay.
but that's why I
Yeah.
ran for office. I'm trying to
Okay.
make the wrongs right. And
Okay.
I think this
But
is,
with regards to the
this is one of the wrongs
but with
that our
regards-
forefathers did with this thing.
With regards to the retirement, there's nothing you can do about that. That's done. That's a
Well,
done deal.
Not right now.
The only thing, no, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, it's my understanding, but you never know. I don't want to discourage you from finding a way to do that. But we're talking about the 71,000. And as for me, I'm not saying that I'm against it, but I wouldn't feel right voting for it, putting it up for a vote without getting all the information that's possible, because I am concerned about those 8 people that are on there. How are we going to phase it in? And I like the idea of the 100%, having them pay 100%. Therefore, it takes away the vulnerability of the town if the other elected officials were to choose to come aboard. By paying the 100%, it also takes away the financial liability from the town and puts it on the elected official, and it still offers them a benefit. I think that would be the best scenario. That way we're not paying for it. That way they're still getting the insurance that they need, and we're just asking them to
Well,
pay the additional.
I respectfully disagree with you.
Okay. I thought we said that before. I thought that's what you agreed to before, when we were chatting. If they were to pay 100% of their premiums.
So when is Mr. Donahue coming in, Nick?
Supposed to be here for this meeting.
So I would just say that we should, it doesn't need to be done tonight. And I understand your fire, but I think if we were to force it to go to a vote right now, it would be a 1-1, and I'd rather prefer that we can get to a happy medium somehow.
Well, I'd like to put it on the agenda for the next meeting and get this thing
Absolutely, I
settled
agree.
one way or another.
I agree 110%
I mean,
with
we
that.
keep putting everything off, putting it off, and nothing ever gets settled.
Well-
We gotta do something with this.
Ms. Selectman Gorman, I'll try to work with you, but right now, I'm just not there. Do you want to tell Selectman Federici to come on back in?
All right. The next item is let's see, Appropriations Committee meeting schedule. I think we've gone over that before the other meeting, right, Nick?
So that's an updated schedule for the board. Note when certain departments are meeting with them that are under the board's authority.
All right, I know some of the,
There's one correction. Police is going to be on the 24th
obviously.
of February, is my understanding.
Okay, is that the same night as the school department?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if that's a fluke.
I don't know. Okay, so we have, okay, it's one of our regular meetings, the,
I think the 17th, Paul, huh? We got something with the appropriation?
I don't know who's, Yeah,
The Appropriations Committee,
is that the next item?
yes,
Okay, they want to meet with us?
they do. They want to come in
That's
during the
right.
board meeting on the 17th. They were hoping to be scheduled as soon as possible. I think we have a liquor license, a matter that's already going to
Okay.
start the meeting. I think if I don't recall offhand what it is, if it's a manager or something that liquor.
Alteration of premises.
Oh, alteration of premises.
Oh, that's the one that
Yep.
was supposed to be a couple
Pizza.
meetings ago, and they didn't post, they didn't put it in the paper. Yeah, okay.
But
That shouldn't, yeah, okay.
if that's all right with the board, we'll schedule the Appropriations Committee as soon as possible
What's the
after.
purpose of that meeting?
They would like to come in and discuss the tax rate and their concerns with how it's building towards a $25
Yeah.
maximum limit.
Okay,
What date is that?
17th.
17th?
Yeah, that's fine. You can put them in.
Okay, $25 maximum, what?
On the tax rate,
Yeah,
under 2.5.
yeah, 2.5, yeah.
So they're concerned, they want to come in and talk with the board about that.
Right, because
That's-
if you reach 25, you can't do any overrides, you know, any exclusions for anything, so, all right. Yeah, that's fine. All right. And that, so that takes care of item D, which is their meeting request. HR budget.
This was one that I wanted to just put on for the board and get the board thinking and asking for direction here about whether or not and to support and to submit, rather, an HR budget to the appropriations, well, to the board and to the Appropriations Committee. I'd given you some sort of a placeholder draft and really also wanted to give you some letters of support from some department heads
Mhm.
that have come in. Again, I don't expect any action from the board on this evening, but I would like to know if the board, I would at some point like to know so that I can submit something to the board and then, give that to appropriations if that's the way it's going to be.
Okay.
So I really haven't done much, but then again, I haven't asked the board for that sort of yes or no to go ahead and get something in your hands and pursue it.
Okay, if the board approves, maybe we can take, to give some thought to this for our next meeting. And, I mean, obviously, we had an HR person at one point, a consultant, that she took on, I happened to be on the board then, she took on a tremendous load in the town, saved us money as far as labor attorneys, et cetera, handling things that now we have to bring to the labor council. And we tried getting one back permanently, and the town wasn't in favor of that. So maybe it's another time to revisit it. You know, the old, everybody always makes a comment, you got a $54 million company and no HR department, which is unheard of in the business world. So anyways, give it some thought. We can put it back on the agenda for the next meeting and hopefully make a decision one way or the other by then.
Mr. Chairman, if
Yes.
I could ask, a report to the board that there are department heads that do support it. You do have some letters
Mhm.
that I've been compiling and just waiting to give to the board. They are also willing and able to come and speak with the board about their desires to have such a department implemented. And, if the board would like to have some department heads come to a meeting and speak to those issues, they're more than willing to do so. And I'm not saying that it would need necessarily to be at the next meeting, which is Thursday, but I would ask if I could at least put this maybe on that agenda for if the board wants to have any discussion about the matter.
Through the chair,
Mhm.
I think all of us are well advised of how important an HR, the benefits of an HR position.
Mhm.
I don't know if we would need department heads to come in.
Yeah.
And it's nice that they did send the letters, but it's something, and it's appreciated, and,
And we'll obviously take their thoughts into
Yeah.
consideration.
yeah.
But I
No,
think it's a
Go
good
ahead.
through the
idea.
board?
Yep.
No, why are we putting it on for the next meet, Paul? I thought we already talked about this, and we're all under the same
well, I think,
theory that
we need one.
definitely need one.
right,
yeah.
it's the question of, I mean,
Can you afford it?
yeah, we can, I mean, what Nick wants to do is put a budget
together.
for, for an HR person to get it to appropriations. I mean, I know we're all in agreement that it's, and that would be like the first step towards seeing if they're in effect in agreement of what, not in agreement, but they can see the dollars and cents and, hopefully go from there. I mean, that's, it's almost, I mean, our next regular meeting is what, the 17th?
So
Only reason.
that's with them.
Yep, and the only reason I'm thinking that, to go along with Selectman Thorpe, that we don't want department heads in is, would this be something that would have to go to town meeting?
I would say, yeah.
I would think so, right, in theory. So if we if we have department heads come in on the 17th and we don't make a decision, the next meeting is the deadline for, well, actually, our deadline would be the 9th, wouldn't it? So it's not the 2nd, but I think we're all in agreement that it's something that should be looked at. I don't know if we want to, I'll ask the board, do you want to hold off and review these things, or should, okay, then we'll do that. And why don't you put it on for, I don't want to load up Thursday, because I know it's for a specific topic, so. But yeah, if you want to put it on again on Thursday, and hopefully we can look in the next couple of days and maybe make a decision on Thursday, whether, to let Nick put a budget together, so. What's that?
He could put a budget together.
Well, then we could, okay, then, do you want to make a
To see what it looks like,
Well, we put a budget together and we want to get it to appropriations, so,
Well, if the budget doesn't look right, we're not sending it to
Right.
appropriations, I would think.
true. Well, I mean,
I'd
the
love
whole,
to look at one.
Yeah, okay. Then why don't you, then why don't we put it off till the meeting of the 17th instead of
Okay,
having Nick do that for 2 days from now?
okay, got it.
So, all right, so we'll do that. If you want to put together a budget, Nick, if you can do that for the 17th, and then we can take a look at it, and maybe we can do that earlier in the meeting before we meet with appropriations, and if, or if you can get it to us sooner. And then
Yeah,
maybe we can
I would think in order for it to work, it would have to we can't get on the same day
Right,
and look over it.
all right.
I would say at least we can get it by Wednesday before the meeting.
Right.
That'd be great.
Okay.
That's the mark.
Next item is annual town meeting. Petition warrant articles are due May 2nd?
March 2nd.
March 2nd, I'm sorry. That would make it interesting, wouldn't it, May 2nd for that?
Very interesting.
Yes. And then the Board of Selectmen warrant articles, I believe, March 9th?
March 9th, and just want to remind the board that if you have warrant articles that you would like to get drafted, to please either send me the ideas of what it is that you're interested in, and/or speak with counsel about that, so that those can be presented to the board. And the board's process is one that warrant articles submitted will be distributed to the board, and if there's no opposition to them being placed on the warrant, they'll be placed on the warrant. But if there's debate that needs to occur about a warrant article, then that March 9th deadline is that much more important,
Mm-hmm.
so that the board can make the decision.
Okay.
If we, through the board,
Mhm.
if we want a warrant on there, Nick, for the selectmen, it has to be by March 9th, but yet the deadline is due March 2nd, right?
Well, it is a little bit different, yes. I mean, there's the March 2nd deadline is for petitioned warrant articles.
Yeah.
So if there are warrant articles that a board member has a sense that the Board of Selectmen may not support putting on there,
Yep.
then the other choice would be to start working on it as a petitioned warrant article instead, and maybe try and ask the board whether or not they think that they would support putting the warrant on as a board, and if not, then submit it. But that's really the decision as individual board members, how you want to approach that.
Okay. Next, now the pay increase for the call fire department, is that executive or is that, I mean, it's listed here and.
Well, it's been a matter that's been discussed in open session, and I think it's recognized that they're not affected through collective bargaining,
Okay.
and similar votes have been taken, as I recall, in open session. So it's a matter for the board.
I believe when I asked counsel at the last meeting that he said it was open session.
Okay. I noticed, obviously, probationary Firefighters are going from $8 to $9 because the minimum wage went up, so the state basically gave them about a 12% increase, if not more. The other firefighters, lieutenants, and captains are going up with 45 cents, 39 cents, 43 cents. So I mean, the 3% may be a little higher than what our 1% limit was, but I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the fire chief said it wasn't going to be a tremendous amount dollar-wise over the course of a year.
I do recall him saying that.
Was it
I
like
don't remember the
$2,000?
That sounds
Yeah.
about right,
Right.
but I couldn't.
But through the chair, I
Mhm.
would say that if we're holding people to 1 to 2%, and certainly our call people do a wonderful job at what they do, especially, keeping our homes safe and,
Mhm.
putting out the fires. But if you want to be fair, I would think that you wouldn't be able to go, above a 2%.
Well, I sort of agree with that, but to be the devil's advocate, Their la-
Angel's advocate.
the last raise was July of 2011, so if you take the...
Yeah, but if you figure, you figure that,
Well-
and then you, I'm sorry.
That's
Go
okay.
ahead.
No, I was just saying, if you take the increases in the town contracts since then, it's probably going to exceed that. The increases of other employees is going to exceed the 3% for that time period for 12, 13, 14. So,
They got 12%, so that's basically 3% each year. And I don't think we gave 3% over the last 3 years.
no, but we've given 2, 2, 1.
Well, but through the chair.
Yeah.
But the difference with these people here,
Mm-hmm.
they do a lot of,
They do.
like I say, they're dedicated. They go to all these things for free, and they get all these classes that they have to do for free, which the average person don't do. And in this amount of money, the 3%.
Wait a minute.
I mean, like a firefighter from 1175 to
Mhm.
1210,
Mm-hmm.
a lieutenant 1306 to 1345,
Mm-hmm.
a captain 1448 to 1491.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to break the town.
No, I don't think it is either. But however, I'm just
Yeah.
looking at if you're holding other folks to,
And their last
it-
raise was in 2011.
Mhm.
and that was 12%. I'm just saying, if you're going to be fair, I think, and you're going to apply what's townwide, then it should be townwide. I could see, we had 1% last year, and I think 1% again this year but they don't get any step raises or anything. I'm okay with it, but I just want you to know
Mhm.
that it looks,
What do they get for
Different.
benefits?
I don't think...
they're.
They
no,
get
they-
nothing,
no,
right?
No.
No
do you get no
benefits.
benefits?
The
No.
people,
Because they're on
the
call.
regular person that works for the town gets all these benefits and stuff. These people get nothing. That's why I don't think 3%, giving them a raise of 3%, you're going to break the town.
And also, not to be overly dramatic, but you think of our weather lately, and to wake up out of a sound sleep to go fight a fire in my
Mhm.
house, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned, that'd be worth $100 an hour if they came to my house, or,
Yeah.
but that's obviously speaking of it in, not real terms, but,
Okay.
any further discussion? If not, we'll see how this goes. I'll make a motion to consider the 3% pay increase for the members of the call fire department.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Any further discussion?
Mm-mm.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Great. And under new business, we already did item 10 and 11. Item 12 is a request for a deer crossing sign on, I believe it was Kibbe Road? Or was it Pease Road? I'm sorry. Pease Road, I guess there's literally herds of deer that cross there at certain times of the day, and one of them got hit, and they can be a hazard, and I guess to be forewarned is a good thing. Police department has recommended the deer crossing sign facing both directions if possible. So I'd like to make a motion based on their recommendation to approve the deer crossing sign for Pease Road.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next item, veterans issues. I hate to do this to you.
Yeah,
You can see your
no.
voice, but.
You have in front of you the budget that was given at the district meeting. Our portion appears to have gone up about $300 more. And as a result of that, hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't pull that out. So as you can see, there was one town that dropped out of the district, which made the budget stayed the same, but our piece went up from 53% to 57.7%. The total budget is $59,833, and our portion is $33,326.98. The good news is, the good news is that they have agreed, as you know, they are a district and we do not have jurisdiction over them. The board itself that has jurisdiction over the veterans agent. So I went to them with our concerns about our services, seeing how much we were getting, how much we're paying. We felt that there needed to be a more consistent date. I am pleased to announce that the board voted unanimously to have him here on Tuesday, Thursday, from 9:30. The span was 9:30 until 12:30. To work it, it's 5 to 6 hours. I figured I'd speak with Carolyn Brennan to see what would best to collaborate with the lunches.
Yeah.
Originally, he said 12 o'clock. I said 12:30 might be better. That way, they could experience the lunch.
Angela, did you
experience.
say Tuesday and Thursday?
Tuesday and Thursday, yes.
And what time?
Well, it'll be within from 9:30 until 1 area. I don't know exactly what. I just need to speak with Carolyn Brennan to see what works best.
Yeah.
But at the very least, 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours each day. They wanted us to understand, though, if there was an emergency and the gentleman had to be pulled away, he would not be in the office that way, but he would notify us. I think with that being implemented now, we'd have at least 3 months to evaluate how many emergencies came up. And I was just pleased to know that they were amendable to it. I did look at their budget. I did have a couple of questions. Their landline for $2,400, that came out to be $200 a month, which I didn't understand. I know my phone is expensive, but it's not that expensive. They're looking into that. I think it includes long distance as well. And the emergency fund was another question, so they're going to look into that as well. And that is it. Our budget after speaking with Nick, it appears that our budget went up quite a bit more than what he was sent in December. So we had budgeted for $30,000. So 30,000.
32, we actually kept the 32 flat.
32. Okay, so it's $1,300. Excuse me, $1,300 over. So Nick's gonna look into that and see what's what. They did set the date for the picnic this year, but more details will come out on March 3rd. I guess I didn't know that, but we're having a Purple Heart community presentation at 6:15 here, so
March,
3rd, that's during our selectmen's meeting.
Okay.
and where's that gonna be?
And
Here.
during our selectmen's meeting, here,
All right.
okay, and that's it.
Okay, and then the last is the consideration of a plaque for deceased veterans, which I
I didn't
guess,
know anything about that.
what's that?
I didn't know anything about that, but
Oh.
go for it.
Nick, I'm not going to give up.
This
Excuse
is
me.
an item that originally came to my attention from Selectman Gorman with respect to the plaque for the deceased veterans. So this is why it's on there. I also, well, maybe Selectman Gorman wants to add to that, or?
Yeah, I would just, I had a phone call and wanted to know if we had a plaque for the people in town here. And asking different people, nobody seems to know, so I want to say that we don't have one, and we'd like to get one, through either, chairman of the liaison for the veterans.
Sure.
Maybe you could look into
See
that.
if they have some funds for it. Sure.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But it'd probably be good and, post it in the town hall somewhere here.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea.
Mr. Chairman, in an unrelated matter, Mr. Comerford had sent an email to me today asking, he had been contacted by the mother of another veteran who apparently lost their life in about 10 years ago, who is not on that list that the board has been using. So I, immediately sent a message back to him and said, I'll notify the board about this. They're talking about a plaque as well. So if the board is able to, get a plaque to commemorate those veterans, then you certainly would want to have the list as complete and update, I'm
Mhm.
sure.
Definitely.
So I think it would be, part of this project will be to speak again with Mr. Comerford and probably Mr. Nealand, your Veterans Graves Officer, to see if we can compile and ensure that we have the most accurate information about that.
Okay. Very good.
And through the board, you
Mhm.
read those names on Memorial Day, huh?
One of us does, usually,
One of
yeah.
us.
Okay, next item is Board of Health, old business. Oh, I'm sorry, Board of Health.
Well, the health agent, we had Don Toon, our past health agent, just resigned the 29th of this month. This will make our 5th one, and the time I've been here, 8 months. We interviewed someone tonight who, we had 14 applications. The young lady that came here tonight was the only one that was even met any qualifications for it. So, we're without a health agent as of now. And the next item is that we had a fire at Jack Chen Restaurant. Well, I had to go over there because we only have the health agent only worked 2 days. And when something happened on her day off, we couldn't get her down here. So that's why it's important that we get a full-time health agent. And as you can see by the interview tonight, they all say the same thing. $22 is ludicrous what we're paying a health agent for all the qualifications that they gotta have. So, we're gonna have to, do something with this health agent. We definitely need a full-time one. There's no getting around it. So it'll be brought up at the town meeting, and hopefully we can hire someone in the meantime until then. But everybody, they're mostly retired people for the amount we're putting in the paper, and they only want to work 2 days. But 2 days just don't hit it in East Long Meadow. As the young lady said tonight, with all the eating establishments we got pools, we got a few Title V's, not many. But these businesses aren't being looked at like they should be looked at, so what happens? They go back to the old mode of doing things, and we don't go out there for 6 months, and they're back to doing what they did before. But the town could have a suit on their hands if we don't do what we're supposed to do. So we definitely need to get a full-time health agent. The next item here is Jack Chen Restaurant. They had
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, could I add a few comments about that?
Sure, Nick.
About the health agent?
Yep.
And a little bit of the process. So the board, you interviewed a candidate this evening, and you were considering and made known that this would be a temporary solution, possibly, and that you're speaking about if you're going to try and present a full-time health agent for the town meeting, the way that would go, unless you wanted to have some sort of warrant article dedicated to saying that East Long Meadow will have a full-time health agent, which maybe a community has done, I think what you're talking about is really more of a budget process, so that if the Board of Health wants to have a full-time health agent, what they'll do is they'll propose a budget that will include that funding in there and declare to appropriations and to the town that this is what, the board believes should be considered. That said, with the budget for the Board of Health that I had submitted to the board and subsequently has gone to the Appropriations Committee, it includes a couple of different options to what that pay might look like for a full-time health agent. And, depending on where the Board of Health might want to go, it will impact the budget significantly, to the extent perhaps in excess of another $20,000 or more to get somebody at that full-time level at a minimum. So I think that it's within the Board of Health's purview to make a decision as to whether or not that's the budget that you want to put forward. And I think you would do so from the standpoint of appropriations by saying, we have in our supplementals, and I expect at some point appropriations may ask, just as you would to do with your prioritization for the capital plans, I expect that they will ask the Board of Selectmen at some point to look at all of the supplementals of your departments, which has happened in the past, and give the Appropriations Committee a list of what those priorities are. Now, that may not ultimately be how they do it, but that is, if the past is any indicator, that's how it's been done the last couple of years. At that point, the Board of Selectmen, Board of Health would need to make a decision, well, where does the Board of Health full-time stand on that list of all those supplementals you would consider? So I think that's really the process that the board needs to consider, and I need to know, as your department head, where it is you are on that line, so that a new budget can be submitted and that discussion can start to happen with the Appropriations Committee.
Well, my personal take on that, Nick, I think a health agent is priority one that we should have passed at a town meeting. We need a health agent. We're falling way behind in inspecting things. We're finding a lot of problems. All we're doing right now is putting fires out with the health agents that we have. We're not going out and inspecting what we should be inspecting. And that's why people know that, some businesses, and they fall back to their old habits. And the reason I say that, because the town could have a suit on their hands if one person gets sick and we didn't do what we're supposed to do as a town. So my thing is, we're gonna have to pay a person $30 to $35 an hour. We're gonna have to pay him, give him we should have a car for him to go around. And though we gotta make it a 37.5-hour job. That's a bottom line. Now, I don't know how the rest of the selectmen feel, but.
Oh, I agree.
Because
And maybe-
I mean, it's obvious what's going on. We're on our fifth one in the 8 months I've been here. And they all say the same thing, just like the young lady said tonight. It's ludicrous, the amount of money we're paying them.
Yep.
And they have all kinds of paperwork to do, plus going out looking at it. In some places, like one place we went back here, we went back there 3 times in 1 week to make sure they did what they were supposed to. So, I mean, it's not a matter of just going out and visiting a person or a place one time, a eating establishment or a gymnasium or a health thing. I mean, we've been back to one of these health things 4 times in 1 month to make sure they do what they're supposed to. So it's not a matter, I mean, you look at something and say, well, geez, we got maybe 100 places. Well, how long is that going to take? Some of those places you're out there 4, 5, 6 times. It's not a matter of just being out there one shot, But no, that's my take, and I think a health agent right now should be #1 on the agenda.
Between that and HR.
Yeah, and through the chair, obviously, with the health agent, if you only have a part-time person and they're continually catching up, that's all you're gonna be doing is basically putting out fires. You're never gonna get to the point where you're actually ahead of the game and can be, proactive in doing the inspections and whatever you have to do. You're always gonna be behind and just trying to get what you have to get done.
And the
So-
trouble is, Paul, the minute they get something a little bit better,
Yeah.
they jump, they use
No,
East
true.
Long Meadow for a stepping stone, they jump into something because other places are paying a lot
Mhm.
better than us.
Mhm.
And we can't keep a person.
Right.
Through the chair,
Mhm.
the health agent, are you gonna move it for a vote for the person that was interviewed or no?
I can't hear you.
Okay, you're gonna move it for a
Yeah,
vote
you're
for
gonna
the
vote on
person
the-
that we
on the-
interviewed?
Lois, is that her
And
name?
Lois?
Yeah. You're gonna move it for a vote? Or are we gonna talk about it later, or what do you want to?
No, I'd say move for a vote. The reason being, because she said that she applied for other places that are closer. So I think we should jump on it right away and try to, establish getting her here is maybe so she don't be,
Get started.
won't look at these
Yeah.
other things. But we gotta establish what we're gonna pay her
Right.
also.
In the meantime, we
And
can,
we're gonna give her a car, we're gonna give her mileage, what we're gonna do.
yeah. Okay. So,
If I could add one item with respect to the pay, to the chairman. The comments were made that to discuss with the Appropriations Committee with respect to the part-time
Mhm.
position and whether or not the board felt that, first of all, you need to decide what the pay rate might be, but also you need to take a look at the current fiscal year budget. My sense is that with the dollar amounts that you were talking about, and even if you added in some of the, some sort of mileage stipend, that the budget could support that. Now, I could likely provide the board with a clearer picture on that. Again, I understand Thursday's a short meeting, but if the board makes some kind of a decision on the individual this evening, I could likely provide the board with the numbers that you need on Thursday, and then you could, I don't see this as something, if it's within your budget already that projected, it
Right.
could absorb it. You don't necessarily need to go to appropriations
Right,
for it.
okay.
So if the board would like to consider that on Thursday, you may be able to get something in place prior to your meeting on the 17th.
All right, we'll just table it till Thursday?
No.
We in agreement?
If we're in agreement we vote that we're gonna offer it to her, and then on Thursday, we'll find out how much we'll pay her. We'll discuss how much we'll pay her.
now is that
Oh.
go ahead.
Okay, want me to make a
Sure.
motion? I'd like to entertain a motion to hire Lois for the health agent job, pending Thursday's meeting and what we're gonna offer her,
The amount to be
Yeah.
paid.
the amount to be
offered.
paid.
All right, so
Mhm.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
So that motion carries.
Good.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is Jack Chen Restaurant. They had a fire there, and the firemen and the police department called my house, and we couldn't get the health agent out there, so I had to go out there being a liaison, and I ended up closing the restaurant down, and what happened, they had a fire in the greasing, and the smoke went over into the donut place next door. There could have been a big problem at this place. We had to end up having the donut place throw all the donuts away because of the smoke that was present in there. And I ended up closing this place down, and since then, we had the plumbing inspector, we had the electrical inspector, and we had the Mr. Hellier, everybody out there, and that's why we closed them down until they were brought up with different codes that they had, and they had to get a new pit there. So since then, I've been out there to check it again with all these people I just mentioned, and we let them reopen. But I did also let them know that we will be inspecting them once a month because they fall back to their old habits. So I had to have them take tables out of there because it's not a place you sit down and eat. It's a takeout place. So right now they're open up, and we let them stay open while they're doing electrical updates in the business.
All right.
All right.
So that's where that stands right now.
Okay.
All right, new business.
Mhm.
Board of Health, new business. We need approval for all food service licenses renewed in the year 15 and the year 16. We have 80 food service permits. We have 30 retail food permits. We have 7 frozen dessert permits, 8 catering service permits, 8 bakery service permits, and 52 milk and cream license permits. I'd like to make a motion, unless you want me to read them all,
No.
to pass all these permits for the
So,
year 15 and 16.
so moved.
Second?
And is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, and that's,
Yeah, one more thing.
yeah, I got one more thing that was here that was thrown in after. Where did you put that one, Lorraine, the mosquito? Is that?
Yeah, here's the,
Yeah. The next thing on the agenda was a request for quotations for spraying. Don't ask me how to pronounce that word.
is that the BTI?
The East Long Meadow Board of Health, yeah, soliciting written quotations for the furnishing and serial application of the BTI for the abatement of mosquito larvae. Application to be targeted at spring for mosquitoes in freshwater wetland areas. These areas consist of approximately 1,000 acres and will be identified by maps provided by the town of East Long Meadow, Mass. To the applicator prior to the application. The application will be made no sooner than April 17th and no later than May 1st, unless otherwise authorized by the town. The applicator must be available within 48 hours' notice of all application. Application will be made with a liquid pesticide application system able to treat a range of 60 to 128 fluid ounces per acre using nozzle recommended by manufacturer. This system will be calibrated under the supervision of the BTI manufacturer prior to an application. Guess that's all I need.
That's it, yep.
Quotations must be received no later than 12 p.m. on Friday, February 25th. Quotations. The deadline for the quotes?
Yeah, quotations must be received no later than 12 o'clock on Friday, February 27th, 2015, in the Board of Health office.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
So we cheer the board up and maybe think about mosquitoes instead of snow.
True. All right, thank you. It doesn't look like we have any correspondence, so before we get to town council, if you are up to it, can we do it? All right. Meetings, invitations, and reminders. Community Preservation Committee meeting Wednesday, February 4th, 2015, 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall Hearing Room. Board of Selectmen has a meeting Thursday, February 5th, 2015, at 11 a.m. in the Town Hall Hearing Room. Capital Planning Committee has a meeting Monday, February 9th, 2015, at 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall Hearing Room. The town offices are closed Monday, February 16th, 2015, in observance of President's Day. And the Board of Selectmen is having a meeting Tuesday, February 17th, 2015, at 6 PM in the Town Hall hearing room. Next is Town Council. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
No, no,
Is that sympathetic? Okay. I'm guessing,
Items 22, 23, 24, 25, and although I have nothing, I would say item 27 under new business
Mhm.
looks as if it would deal with the executive session. I should
Okay.
find you.
all right. Why don't we start with item,
18,
yes.
the Community Mitigation Fund application. Actually, I think the town administrator can speak more clearly to that, but what this is, based on my discussions with the administrator, is that the state was seeking not mitigation, not requesting more actual mitigation funding to address any specific problem, although if you had an issue, you could request it here. But this is an application that they were asking for any community who thought that they might qualify for mitigating funds in the future as these projects develop, to file a request for a reserve to be established to address those circumstances that arose. That's my understanding, but I think the administrator might have a better explanation.
So I report to the board that the Mass Gaming Commission really did the community a real favor here. Previously, this had been before the Board of Selectmen, and I think that the way it was read was that it was really geared towards if you had really had a mitigating circumstance to date to apply for it, and that if you didn't, then you would be eligible to apply for it every year. The Gaming Commission, I think, realized that the communities were thinking in those terms, and they called the office once I notified them of the board's decision that we really don't have anything this year, so no need to apply. They contacted the office, and I explained the board's, as best I could, decision-making process. But then they called back again within a couple of days and said, you know, they clarified, just as council had said, this is a reserve fund. You don't have to have anything now. It just puts you in line to have that fund available to you for the period of the license. So this is sort of a longer term. And when getting into the discussion a little bit further with the Gaming Commission personnel, Ms. Thurlow was very generous with her time. She explained that the Commission's intent is that it is for an unforeseen, and they want to have the communities to get in line for this. So what I did was, and also I spoke with council and just to make sure that it would have no impact on the surrounding community, surrounding agreement that the board had signed, and or any other ability to go after the funds at the state level. Those other sort of funds that are made up of those, you remember the large fund that's made up of several smaller ones, has no effect on any of that. This is just simply for the community. And the difference here is it's, you will, with any of the expenses, you're going to have to show proof, of course, but that you've had these expenses. But they really just wanted to do that. And and I asked, I said, gee, the board's take was this, do we have something approach? And they said, well, you're not alone, that it was about 50% of the communities that were eligible took it that way as well. So I expect that their participation rate has climbed. What I did based on that explanation was, because it was a deadline of February 2nd, that I signed it on the board's behalf with the idea if the board wanted to rescind it for whatever reason, it could be. But so we, now the community of East Long Meadow is in line for this reserve fund of another $100,000.
Good, good. Good, thanks.
And then again, thanks to the Gaming Commission for really doing the outreach.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Very good. All right, next item, direct deposit and biweekly pay.
I have no information with respect to this item.
This was on there with the hopes of getting a little bit of information. The town accountant had wanted to speak with the board about this, but so far, I think due in large part of yesterday's snow event, was unable to have the conversation with Labor Council. So I'd like to carry this over. It's not, these issues aren't really going anywhere. I would also like to just say that I expect that the town accountant will be here. She would like to speak with the board with respect to item 27 in executive, if that's the board's pleasure.
Okay.
She's currently at an appropriations committee meeting. I've communicated with her that the board's, probably
Okay.
going in very soon.
All right, great. Next item, liquor license matters.
I have nothing specific in my packet, but I have been dealing with the office of the board on issues regarding these two licenses. And Nick can fill you in a little better probably with the history of what's going on with the board. But currently, with respect to Ramitos, they had filed an application for the renewal of their Section 12, which is their pouring license at the location across the street here. However, in their application, they failed to file evidence of insurance and workman's compensation coverage and some other documents that really are part of the package for their approval. Now, the board, as a courtesy, I think, to a long-time license holder, took the incomplete package and forwarded it with the other licenses to the board, to the ABCC for approval. The ABCC in turn approved the license contingent upon all of the requirements being complied with. And now it's back here before the board. My understanding, and Nick can correct me or add to this, is that the office has attempted to contact the license holder's representative, because it's a corporation, and informing them of the situation of the documents that are needed in order for them to be issued a license to operate in the current calendar year. We haven't received any, at least as far as last week, hadn't received any response from the license holder with respect to our inquiries for further information.
Okay.
All right. And then on the second issue, Nadim's situation, the real thing that needs to be understood there is what is the operating agreement that's going on at that site. I mean, it's licensed to Nadim, it's the license holder, Nick. Nadim, but it appears that there is another entity or individuals who are operating it. Now, we don't know how the relationship between the license holder and these individuals exists, whether they're employees, which is perfectly all right for them to be, but if they are, in effect, leasing or renting or using that license for their own operation and paying them a fee, that's a problem for the town, and we don't know what's going on over there. I think there's reason both of these items are here is to see if the board wishes to send notices out to both license holders to come in and explain exactly for the records of the board exactly why one isn't complying with the requirements they need, and secondly, how the other one's operating.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, well, we all remember back in, was it beginning of December, when Nadim came in and explained at that time what the process was, but I know, well, I don't know, but it seems that it's changed a bit, and I think they're being prodded to actually do something to correct the matter, but that's not our concern is that they do, if there is something that needs to be corrected, that it does get corrected, so.
And you're doing it really for the benefit of the residents of the community. If something happens over there with the food being served or inappropriate amounts of alcohol being served to someone, really, someone's going to come to the town and ask for the records to determine who's responsible, and really the board's records should be able to readily identify who those people are. Right.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would just add to that we did receive word back from Ms. Ramito this afternoon, who had indicated that she thought that there was a transfer process that was in place, and so had more questions from her perspective with respect to the relationship with the Pride entity. So she was going to contact them. If I had a recommendation, I would follow council's recommendation to probably call for a meeting, although not a hearing at this point, with both parties, with both entities.
Right, because now what's the process? They, in effect, haven't renewed their license because they haven't, I believe, picked it up or paid for it, et cetera. So,
Well,
do they have to do that before any transfers can take place
they need to have a license in operation
to transfer it?
in
Yeah.
order to transfer.
Okay. Makes sense.
And the application that we received was sort of mixed. That's one of the things that triggers sort of the confusion, is because there were some representations as to insurance coverages with respect to Pride, which had nothing at all to do with their marina
Right.
operation. So, yeah, I would suggest that perhaps it would be wise to bring in both license holders and just ask them to explain for the record. And then
Okay.
you can decide whether or not it's acceptable to the
Okay.
board going forward.
All right, why don't we do that?
For the 17th.
Oh, sure, we'll just bring cots
Put them off to the next meeting.
till the 17th, yeah,
17th.
yeah. All right, next item is the trash haulers contract.
And this I'm going to defer to Nick. Nick has
Yeah.
been dealing with the trash company with respect to this and is familiar with it.
My question then to council would be, is this an item that the board could discuss with respect to a contract negotiation?
Well, the issue is if they want to discuss terms of the contract negotiation with council, to discuss how to handle negotiations, that would be a proper subject of executive session under the Suffolk Construction DCAM case, is consultation with legal counsel, or the attorney-client privilege.
My
Okay.
recommendation to the board would be to do that.
Yes, okay. All right. The only other non-executive item is the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, which I believe, Nick, is they've provided us a list of, unless I'm wrong, a list of vehicles?
Yes, the board has a list of vehicles that are identified with the key of H, W, S, and B, so highway, water, sewer, and buildings and other equipment. And what that list intends to do is to show the board in clear terms which vehicles and pieces of equipment that the Board of Public Works intends to put towards the water and sewer funds for the insurance costs. And what so those numbers are numbers as of today. Fiscal year 16 numbers would be different, but the intent here is to show you exactly which vehicles and pieces of equipment will be applied. So with that, the Board of Public Works would include those into the agreement and would again ask the board to consider signing the agreement.
Okay, and we got these today, I believe, right?
Yeah, we just got
So if we
them
can, is there a problem with it going till the 17th?
I don't believe that there's an issue with that. I will report to the board. It's my understanding that the Board of Public Works and Appropriations for budget purposes, where they are in the process, is considering the agreement as being in place as of
Okay.
right now.
Right.
Even though they know they don't have that in place, but they have to try and work those numbers in.
Okay. All right, that's fine. All right. I'd like to make a motion to move to executive session to discuss matters relating to attorney discussions of
Attorney-client
Attorney
privilege
pri-
discussion with respect to contract negotiations.
that union and non-union contract negotiations. And I believe that's it.
As the
To-
open discussion of those that could have a.
Yeah, negative effect on our town's position. To return to open session, only to adjourn.
So,
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Selectman Thorpe?
Yes.
Selectman Gorman?
yes.
Selectman Federici, yes. All right.